quite familiar with the AMA already, you've grown up in a medical school where the AMA has been a major partner of the AMSS, and you're probably very familiar with lots of the advocacy campaigns that the AMA does. We'll just run through a quick few slides to give you a bit more of an understanding of things that the AMA can do for you. So just a quick little history lesson. The AMA was formed from a number of branches of the British Medical Association, which were first formed in the early 1900s in Australia. They all grew up and joined together in the 60s to form the AMA as it is today. There's a federal AMA body, and then each state has their own branch as well. So we work quite closely with the federal body to do lots of the advocacy to the federal government, but also locally with the state government. So that's kind of how we fit into the system. Who here's got an internship for next year? Everybody? Yeah, it's quite an interesting thing. Lots of your colleagues interstate wouldn't be able to say the same thing, and I think lots of that might be due to the work of the AMA over the last few years. Ever since the federal government increased the numbers of medical students, sort of in 2005, 2006, and your cohort is probably one of the first or second year maybe of those increased numbers that's coming through the system. And the AMA has been advocating for increasing numbers of internships to accommodate all of you, to make sure you've got a job at the end of your training. In particular, the AMA was a very strong advocate to make sure that the guys who were left out at the end of last year, there was 120 interns left over, or graduates who didn't get internships, and the AMA put the screws on the federal government to make sure that they could find extra spots for those students who missed out. This year, with the new federal government, the AMA worked very closely at a federal level with the opposition at the time on their policy to fund extra internships. So that was a $40 million package to fund 400 new internships in the next 3 years, which is all very good news to make sure that all of you continue to get jobs at the end of every year. So I think that's probably one thing that's certain, the AMA has certainly done for you guys already before you've even graduated. The other point that we've got on the slides there was about closing the loophole that allowed lots of universities to enrol full fee paying local students in the MD programs that you might be familiar with at Melbourne University. The University of Sydney's now got one, and I believe Flinders is also having one too. And basically the idea was that to close that loophole meant that there was equity of access for everybody. So every student was commencing had the opportunity to go to medical school and didn't have to pay through the nose to go and get in. The AMA has, as part of its membership fee, a number of membership benefits. The federal AMA and the state branch have negotiated lots of very competitive and very useful benefits and discounts. I, for one, can say that my Qantas Club membership comes through the AMA, which makes it very nice when I'm going overseas and get to come back and have a nice shower and have something nice to eat, which is always very nice. I think the other really good benefit that the AMA has, and for lots of you this might not be relevant this year, but it might be next year once you start earning your salaries, the AMA has a preferential partnership with the Commonwealth Bank, and they give a very competitive deal on home loans and a wealth package. It's called the Premier Wealth Package, which waives some fees when you're applying for a home loan, which for many of my colleagues has saved them upwards of $20,000 when they're buying a home. So it's just small things like that that can save you lots of money for your AMA membership fee. So this is just a little practical example. I also have one of the AMA American Express Platinum cards. So this example probably applies to me. I'm not yet ready to buy a new Volkswagen, but certainly the first two benefits are things that I use myself and lots of my colleagues do as well. So this is just a number of a range of benefits that the AMA offers. So the American Express cards, Qantas Club, when you go on holidays, discount with Hertz rental cars, discounts on computers through PowerBuy, which includes some Apple products as well, and deal with Volkswagen. And in the next few months as well, that the local branch is also looking into some other benefits for junior doctors as well. And so hopefully we can arrange some other things too for you by the time you start. Along with the advocacy things that we've talked about that AMA does for you and the membership benefits, there's a number of other free publications that come with your membership. Lots of you would have seen the Medical Journal of Australia floating around before, or seen articles that you've used in the PBL cases, and some of your tutors and your clinical rotations might have asked you. So that comes free to you every fortnight in a hard copy. And then the Australian Medicine is an electronic publication which comes as well. Also, on a periodic basis, there's an electronic newsletter specifically for doctors in training, which keeps you all up to date with what we're doing at a federal level. So it gives you an idea about how we're going with internships and vocational training places. The other thing that's been quite topical, and again after the talk from Max here, and I think Perks is going to talk to you a bit later on, the other thing that the AMA has been working quite heavily on is about this. You might have heard about it in the news, a Scrap the Cap campaign. So the government, the Gillard-Rudd government, proposed to cut the work-related expense cap to $2,000, which meant that you could only claim up to $2,000 for tax deduction purposes. And we worked quite closely to try and delay that implementation, and it looks like with the new government that probably won't go ahead. And we met with Chris Pine, who's now the Minister for Education, before the election, and the policy from the Liberal Party was that they probably wouldn't support a cap on that at all. So hopefully by the time we've got a few things happening with the new federal government, we won't see that $2,000 cap come in. All right? Because who here is interested in surgery as a practical example? Yeah. So let's say for surgery, there's 4 compulsory courses that you need to do as part of your training. And you've probably heard as well, you get a professional development allowance from, let's say Nathan, you're working at the Royal Adelaide next year. So you get I think it's $2,500, almost $3,000 personal professional development allowance. So you might want to use that for one of your courses, but that means you've still got 3 others to go to. Often you might have to go interstate. There's only a few every year that are in Adelaide. And each of those courses ranges in price from $1,500 to $5,000. And so if you had a $2,000 cap on it, it reduces any incentive for you to do those courses. So it's quite an important change that the AMA is advocating for you. All right. Otherwise, those expenses would all come out of your own pocket. There's a couple of other publications as well. So the Medic SA down the bottom is the bi-monthly edition from the local AMA. Lots of you probably got that as medical students as well, it's been voted the best state publication for the last couple of years by the federal AMA. There's a few other little bits and pieces as well that the AMA can help you out with. There's an online careers advisory service as well. So that's a wealth of resource. There's a CPD tracker. That's probably a little bit more relevant for you once you get past your internship and you get into resident jobs and starting to apply for specialty training programs. And the fees and services list might be for some of you who are keen to look at how much the private specialists are earning and charging for consultation. And I think one of the best things that I've got out of my membership with the AMA is the ability to meet lots of people and network with lots of other doctors. You tend to, as an intern, you'll find next year that you often only see the people that you're working with on your rotation. You spend a lot of time with your registrars doing ward rounds, sitting in multi-D meetings, and you spend a lot of time with your fellow intern, but you lose touch with lots of the other people that you went through medical school that you've got used to seeing every day for nearly 6 years. So that's one of the great things that I've enjoyed about the AMA, is that opportunity to catch up on a regular basis with a number of other people who share the same interests and engage in sort of social activities as well. So, and I've met lots of other people from different hospitals, and you get a bit of an idea about how other people's hospital systems work, and you know, what sort of things that you could improve in your own hospital by talking to people in other hospitals too. So that's one of the best things I've found being an AMA member. So next Wednesday night, I know there's another Life in the Real World session, which finishes at what time, Lockie? It's about 7:30. The AMA is actually hosting a beer and cider night at BMW Motors over on West Terrace. It's free for all medical students to come along, and we'd encourage you to all come along after the session next week. Part of this beer and cider night is a promotion for to win a drive day with Alan Moffat, who's quite a famous touring car driver back in the day, who'll take you out for a spin in BMW. So it's a pretty awesome prize. So I think I'd encourage you all to come along after the sessions finish up next Wednesday night and join us. The other thing as well is that the AMA has if you join up as an intern, you can defer the payments to start a bit later in the year. They also have a monthly direct debit as well, so it makes the cost a little bit less of a hit at the start of the year when you're arranging all your salary packaging and all those sort of things. So I think there's those other bits as well that can sort of help you manage your membership too. All right. Are there any questions?
How much membership is in terms?
In the handouts of the paper, all the information is there.
Oh, the other thing I would say as well, because as part of your professional development allowance, you can also include the AMA membership on your PD allowance too, because you get the MJA as a publication on a regular basis. That classifies as an educational expense, so you can also put your AMA membership on your PD allowance. So there's no reason for you not to do it.
Okay. Any questions? No? Okay. Thanks so much for coming to speak to us tonight.